I am Misty Winkler, and I thought I'd step out onto my front step here and we talk about our first week back to school. I have some pictures from the week and some hard-won lessons from experience. Plus, I have a new lipstick color, so why not record a video? Hit subscribe and stick with me while we talk about first weeks back to homeschool. If the garbage truck doesn't interrupt us. So this was our first full term week back to school. And you know what? Full term might be a good term for the full schedule that we have. It feels somewhat like being full term, that kind of discomfort, full, heavy, lumbering feeling. Sometimes that's what homeschooling feels like. Sometimes the day is full, but it's full of life and good things. And so that's a good thing. That means that we are going to birth good things, right? Okay, let's switch metaphors. So we've done 6 weeks of summer term where we do math and reading and just a few other basics and work our way into a school routine while still enjoying summer and good weather. We had a 6-week break between our school years in the early summer when the weather is perfect in our area. And then as it starts getting hot, we start easing into our school routine. But then this week was the first week where we were doing everything, including classes with others. We don't really have a real co-op. It's more like co-schooling. We have a couple friends that we do a bulk of our schoolwork with. And so we were starting up full bore this week. But you know, this is not my first rodeo. This is the 13th year that we have been homeschooling. And so I know what to expect the first week back. And it's really tempting for me as a planner to think that I have everything all together. Well, I didn't think I had everything all together this year because I didn't, but I knew that it was good enough. Still, it's easy for the first week back when everything is in its proper place, everything's just on paper and looks good on paper, to think that the on paper is going to translate straight across into the week. But it isn't. What's on the paper is a place to start. And then the first week is an experiment, and it's an experiment for everyone. It's an experiment for us as the moms to see how this actually plays out, if what we planned is actually feasible.
One of these days, when I'm done teaching it, and I'll be able to say it. Anyway, we looked at the first and second person, personal pronouns.
And so when we see things that don't quite work, we need to not despair or throw it all overboard. Instead, we need to be iterating. We need to be observing and seeing how things actually flow, how the dynamics of multiple people actually work, so that we can make adjustments. Adjustments maybe to the schedule, but maybe just to our preparation for the day. Maybe just to how we handle those transitions and how we help our children make them. But in the first week, we need to be in observation mode, and we need to watch our expectations, that we don't think that plans on paper will translate straight across into real life, but we're prepared for adjustments. It's also a week of experiment for the students, for our children. And we need to recognize that it's going to be a struggle for them too. They have their own expectations and their own desires that are not the same as yours. And that's what causes conflict and tension. And so the fact that there's conflict or tension just needs to be acknowledged and we need to be prepared for that. There's nothing we can really do to make that not happen at all. Instead, we just need to be prepared to handle it, to notice it and deal with it, and help them match their expectations to reality as well. And if your kids are like mine, which maybe they aren't, maybe they're better, one of the ways that my children often experiment with is whether or not what's on the checklist is theirs to manage 100%. Now, I give my kids checklists with all the work for the week there, so they can have that big picture, they can see what's expected of them. And that first week back, there are always moans and groans about how much there is. And tell them to stop complaining. We are just going to practice. And we're going to see how this works. And it's probably not as bad as you think it is just looking at it on paper, right? I look at it on paper and think it looks great. They look at it on paper and see how much of their day is going to be taken up by mom's work. So one of the ways they might experiment with that work on the paper is by not doing it, by doing sloppy work, by checking things off that they didn't actually do, by doing 3 minutes of something when 10 minutes was required. And so we just need to be prepared for that and recognize that it's our responsibility as the parent and the teacher to check in on them and to enforce what's on the checklist. If we let them dictate what they do, then they are in charge. And they don't have the maturity or the responsibility to be in charge quite yet, not to that extent. So we have to be checking in and looking at all of their work. And really, looking at their work is a way of caring about their work. If we don't care whether or not they do it, then why should they? We can't expect them to care more than we do. And we have to put forth the time and attention and caring of actually checking in on them, seeing how it's going, seeing why they are skipping things, or just kind of zooming through without really following the spirit of the assignment. And that's the structure that we provide as the parent. Just writing it down on a checklist isn't enough. We have to be personally involved and relationally involved through the process. And the first week is a trial run of that. And we need to be prepared not only to experiment ourselves, but be prepared for our children's experiments with testing those boundaries and seeing what mom really means when she puts it on paper. And although we need to teach them through those moments, we also need to know that it's not the end of the world when they don't do what's expected of them. It's all part of the learning process, and it's part of our teaching them and training them in a good work ethic. They're opportunities for teaching and growth. And the first week will be ripe with those kind of opportunities. So we can dig in, prepared to repent, rejoice, repeat, and help our students do the same. So if you'd like more encouragement in your own homeschool journey, stick around, stick here at Simply Convivial, where we talk about managing ourselves and our home and our homeschools for the glory of God with a cheerful attitude. Subscribe to my channel, check out my blog, hop on the email list, and you will get encouragement delivered straight to your email. Just click the links down in the comments below, and you can find more information about what we use in our homeschool, about how to manage life cheerfully, and about digging into our responsibilities because they are God's will for us for our sanctification and His glory. Tune in next time. See you then.